The FARC LoBo truck tour is back after a 2-month break since the last race at Kentucky. Lawrence Burr was the victor of the race. Luke Pellerin finished second. Angel Gray finished third, highest running regular of the race. Stacey St. Martin finishing fourth, and Gio Arios, the Buffalo winner, rounding up the top 5. Points leader Jeremy Baker ended up wrecking out of the race on the 4th lap, resulting in a last place finish of the 19 truck field. However, Mike Howard, Baker's only competition in the championship, having issues of his own that race, finished 13 to 4 laps down. However, he was still able to cut into Baker's lead, which is now 42 points. Stacey St. Martin, as a result, made up some tremendous ground after a top 5 finish. She's now 70 points behind Baker. Also, a news item I forgot to mention about at Buffalo is that Messina Motorsports has fired AJ Reed after that race. The team has cited lack of performance as the reason for the firing, which I'm gonna have to agree with. Reed has been underwhelming all season, except for the race at Buffalo where he was running top 5 until he blew up on the final lap. The team will not continue to run the 51 truck as it was not at Kentucky, and will continue just running the 77 truck on a part-time basis. Another news item stemming from Kentucky, the 29 Spannerhead racing truck driven by Dylan Andrew was also not at Kentucky. Reasons for their absence is not known. So both the 51 and the 29, which were full-time trucks, were not at Kentucky and are not here at Talladega today, leaving now the full-time truck count at 9. But anyway, on to the race. Jacob Wesley earns the Mullow Pole Award with Taylor Brillin starting on his outside as they head to the flying start. Interesting thing about Talladega is that the start-finish line is past the tri-oval, which means they have to go through the entire length of the tri-oval after the pace car enters pit road to start the race. Or across the line to start the race, because technically the race starts when the pace car pulls in. But anyway, enough of me rambling. Wesley and Brillin pull ahead of third place Dan Edwards, the Texas World winner, as Brillin and Wesley continue to battle for the lead themselves as they come onto the backstretch. Wesley clears Brillin here, as now Brillin has to deal with Edwards as they're running 3 wide behind the both of them, as Brillin then pulls in line behind Wesley, as they're still going 3 wide behind them, almost 4 wide, as Wesley and Brillin now put a little bit of a gap between them and Edwards. As, we see a little bit of a mix-up behind them. Let's take a look at that now, as it looks like Ali Riggs gets to the back of AJ Young and puts him onto the apron, but luckily Young comes back onto the track without causing any further problems. That could have ended in disaster for a lot of people, but luckily it all sorted itself out. I mean, seriously, take it easy, it's the first freaking lap. But things will eventually calm itself down with the first 2 trucks running single file as Wesley and Brillin still lead this race, as Dan Edwards still leads the train behind both of them. Now, we haven't seen a lot of Edwards since his win at Texas World. Matter of fact, his only other start this season was at the road course in Austin, as Edwards proceeds to get freight trained as Lawrence Burr now leads this charge behind the 2 leaders that he gets run into from the back by Richard Scott. But luckily that sorts itself out really quickly, as Wesley and Brillin still hold a decent gap over the rest of the field. Now, normally on super speedways, that's usually not a good thing, as Brillin attempts to make a move for the lead now, as Scott now makes a move on Burr. AJ Young is going to make it 3 wide, as Scott's going to take the 3rd spot, but Young is going to challenge Scott for that spot as well, as now Burr is going to get freight trained. That's the nature of super speedway racing for you right there. Meanwhile, the back markers have formed a small pack of their own, as the 8 of Paul Fitch's engine's going to blow up on lap 3. I mean, can't these engines last any longer than 2 laps? And at a track like this, when you had a consistently high RPM for the entire race, only amplifies the problem. And speaking of back markers having issues, the 60 of Kevin Parks is going to cut a tire as you see him slow on the apron, and he's going to bring that truck back to pit road, and he will lose a lap as a result. Meanwhile, back up front, the Luke Star Motorsports trucks of Angel Gray and Pascal Valley are now working their way out front, as Valley now gets under Gray to try to take the lead for himself. Now, Valley's only making his 2nd start this season. His only other start was at Texas World, which he actually got a top 10 finish, as he's got no help on the bottom right now as Jacob Wesley tries to make a 3 wide, but the outside line has more momentum right now, and Gray's going to keep the lead for now, but eventually Wesley's going to get on the inside and eventually overtake Gray for the lead. Here's someone else we haven't seen in a while, Samantha Spires, driving the number 87 for Schmaltz Racing. She's currently running in the back of the main pack here. Now, Spires won 2 races last season and finished 4th in points, and quite frankly was one of the strongest running drivers in the series last year. However, when a lot of the big teams bailed out after last season, either by going part-time or leaving the series altogether, Spire's team was one of them. This is also only her third start this season. Like I said earlier, she is currently running in the back of the main pack here, but it's still very early in the race. Another close call here as Taylor Berlin gets into the back of Chuck Johnson as he sends him and herself into the apron, but both of them will go back on track without too much of an issue. Now, the interesting thing with Johnson is he was originally not scheduled to be here this weekend, as the NPCC is also running this weekend, but the team eventually decided, hey, why not do the double? Which is an interesting decision, being that he currently leads the NPCC points, so I don't know why they wouldn't have him just focus on that. But anyway, he's having a decent run so far, started 4th, as he's currently, oh, we got an engine failure in the back. That is the 37 of Vincenzo Focasato, as that's going to put an end to his day, as he has really not been performing up to the standards that we thought he would run this season. Ran really well last season, and we figured he would be able to challenge Jeremy Baker and Mike Howard, who were the two favorites entering the season. However, the reliability has just not been there. This is his third straight DNF due to an engine failure. Now, this is what happens when you're over-aggressive within the first 10 laps and it doesn't go right. AJ Young's again to the back of his teammate Lawrence Burr and is going to spin him out. A few other trucks get a small piece of that, but luckily no one else hits him, and he is going to keep going. That is the first caution of the day. But hey, how about the teamwork at M&J Racing, guys? Meanwhile, in the race back to the caution, Gio Arias now in the lead as Jacob West of the pole setter is now getting freight train. Angel Gray is in second. Taylor Berlin is going to get third, but it looks like Arias is going to lead them to the caution. Everybody would pit under this caution as Arias will lead them all down pit road. Kevin Parks is a lap down, that's why he's staying out right now. But it's going to be Dan Edwards that beats everybody off of pit road, taking fuel only. Jerry Baker does so as well. Angel Gray comes out third. Jesus Ignacio Chavez fourth. Taylor Berlin fifth. As you see everybody else coming off pit road. And almost instantly after leaving pit road, Jesus Ignacio Chavez III's engine is going to expire on him, making that the third engine failure of the day. May I remind you that we're not even up to lap 10 yet. Matter of fact, I think we just started lap 10. With 1 to go to the restart, the 80 of Drew McDaniel, who would have restarted 6th, is going to have an issue and is going to come onto pit road and is going to spend an odd number of laps there. Oh, thank God. Dan Edwards would lead them all to the restart as pace car pulls in now. As already they're doubling up there as Kevin Parks on the inside, 1 lap down. Let's see how long it takes for the leaders to get around him as Edward pulls out to a huge lead already. Like I said earlier, Super Speedways, that's not a good thing because he's a sitting duck right now, and so we're going to quickly be reeled in by the rest of the field as 6 trucks have gotten around Parks, and Jeremy Baker and Angel Gray currently battling for second. And speaking of Kevin Parks, he is currently holding up everybody behind them. Also holding everybody up is everybody's favorite backmarker, Tommy Haynes. Only difference is Haynes is still on the lead lap, and this is causing everybody to have flashbacks from Langhorne, as he's holding up the inside line, which is being led by Jacob Wesley, which is kind of ironic, being that Wesley won at Langhorne because of Haynes. But Haynes appears to be faster than Parks, so the inside line is going to quickly get around him, and then Haynes is going to move to the outside line and let the field go by, as the outside line now tries to get around Parks. Meanwhile, back up front, Luke Pellerin going for the lead now with the help of Taylor Berlin. After getting a second place finish at Kentucky, that now makes 3 second place finishes for Pellerin, as he finished second at Texas World, to Dan Edwards, matter of fact, and he finished second at Lake Afton. So Pellerin has been pretty much the bridesmaid of the season, as he tries to finally get that win today. Here is points leader Jeremy Baker struggling to keep up with the main pack. So is Lawrence Burr, but he has damage. A lot of people wondered entering today rather we were going to see 2 separate packs today, one with the part-timers and one with the regulars, as that's usually been the case all season. But in the case of Angel Gray, who not only has been keeping up with the main pack, but has battled for the lead. But on another note, she's been the only regular to do so, while the rest of the regulars are struggling to keep up with the pack here, as you see them running single file behind the main pack. Allie Riggs is now going to cut a tire, and she's going to bring it into pit road. Luckily, she will not lose a lap, but it seems that she can't get any sort of luck when it comes to the truck series, as it seems that every race she attempts, she seems to have something go wrong one way or the other, except for Buffalo when she ran top 3 most of the race. But anyway, I see Drew McDaniel still on pit road from his issue. Meanwhile, back up front, Gio Arias is back in the lead, fighting Taylor Brillen for that spot. Chuck Johnson, who was behind Arias, looking to peek under. Oh, we got another engine failure, and lo and behold, it is Brillen's M&J teammate Lawrence Burr. As what is it now? Lap 17. We're just short of halfway. Yeah, that seems about right on cue for M&J Racing there. Yeah, but anyway, Burr was barely keeping up with the main pack there, despite having damage from earlier. So glad to see that didn't affect him too much. But anyway, Burr, of course, as we said in the pre-race, won at Kentucky last week, and now he's back to blowing up this week at Talladega, which always seems to happen the week after they actually, oh, here comes the backmarker pack, and oh, they run into Burr! That is the entire 5-6 truck pack that was falling off from the rest of the field, and they're going to run right into Burr as he was safely on the apron, and the caution's going to come out because of this. Okay, so let's see what happened here, as it looks like John Burr gets to the back of Kevin Parks, which sends Parks onto the apron where Lawrence Burr just happened to be. As you also saw, Dale Clow and Alvin Waters, who are also in that pack, get involved as well as Parks drives away. John Burr is going to drive away as well. Here's an aerial view of it as you see the conflict between John Burr and Parks. But how does Waters and Clow get into... Oh, wait a second! Clow gets into the back of Waters, and that pretty much has the same effect, and they turn into the 64 as well. So that whole incident was just the backmarkers being aggressive with each other, and Burr just happened to be there. But anyway, Parks and John Burr will drive away from this, as this track has a special meaning to John Burr. His only Elite Series win came here. Alvin Waters would also drive away from this, however the damage he would receive would be terminal, and he would be the only other retiree other than Lawrence Burr from this incident. But anyway, back to the battle to the caution, as, oh, Taylor Brillen and Luke Pellerman in the wall, as Chuck Johnson and Gio Arias are racing back to the caution as they're going through the tri-oval. They're side by side, as Johnson is on the inside, but Arias beats him to the caution. And under that caution, we're going to have a weird moment here. What is Casey Lester and Jacob Wesley doing? Just to note that Johnson and Arias have already caught up to the pace car, as it appears that Lester and Wesley are running into each other, as that's jamming up everybody behind them. I mean, seriously, what the hell are you two doing? As Lester continues to push up into Wesley, and there goes Lester right there, as the rest of the field goes on by him. Seriously, I have no idea what that was all about. A few trucks do come in under that caution. Jacob Wesley will be the first one to come in. So will Dan Edwards, Jeremy Baker, Taylor Brillen, and so would Casey Lester after that brilliant display of driving under the yellow. And so would Kevin Parks and Alvin Waters, who caused the caution. The very next lap, a few more trucks would come into pit road, led by Luke Pellerin. There's actually a few regulars coming into pit. Patrick Johansson, Stacey St. Martin, Philip Borland, Tommy Haynes comes in, as well as John Burr, who was also involved in that accident. And speaking of trucks that were involved in that accident, Dale Clow is now going to have issues, as he apparently broke something in that accident, as he's going to pull onto the apron, as he's going to be very slow trying to get back to pit road. And I believe Clow would have restarted in the top 10, or around the top 10. So it looks like everybody restarting behind him have been spared. But there's just one problem. He wouldn't make it back to pit road, as he would stall just, I would say, 100 yards from pit entrance, as that is a very dangerous spot to be stalling the truck at, as here comes the rest of the field to take the green, as AJ Young has an issue, as, oh wait a minute, the restart was waved off, the pace car does not pull into pit road. The caution is back out due to Dale Clow's stalled truck. Here is the attempted restart from the view of AJ Young, as he looks like he has an issue of his own and was pulling into pit road anyway, and he actually clips Clow's truck as the restart was waved off. But anyway, I don't know what Young's issue was, as he would come into pit road and he would continue the race without a problem. More engine failures under this caution, as Patrick Johansson blows up what feels like the 10th week in a row. There's a reason why Johansson is the worst ranked of the regulars, and this is it. And what I mean by that is that he's actually ranked worse than Dale Clow. So make of that what you will. We'll actually be under green for more than 5 feet this time, as Gio Arias will lead on the restart. As we already see, they already go. Oh, wait a second, Richard Scott's got a problem. He's slow on the start, as the leaders are trying to get around Drew McDaniel, who was finally back on track. However, he's a number of laps down, as Arias, Johnson, and Spires will get around him. However, he will now hold up everybody behind them, which is going to allow these three to pull quite the gap on the rest of the field. Now let's take a look at what happened to Richard Scott, as he just didn't get going at all as the rest of the field goes by, and luckily he stays out of everybody's way. However, unlike Dale Clow, he will make it back to pit road. Luke Pelham's going to be the one that finally gets fed up with being held up by Tommy Haynes. Is going to turn him into Dan Edwards and then into the outside wall. As you see some of the trucks that have lost the pack there, luckily no one hits him as Haynes is going to drive away, as Luke Pellerin wasn't going to put up with his shenanigans. Stacey St. Martin's going to be the next one to have issues under caution. Okay, what's with all these trucks breaking down under yellow? And as you see, she just passed the pit exit, which means she's got to go all the way back around the track, which she's probably not going to do. But anyway, it's a shame for St. Martin, who made up a lot of ground on Jeremy Baker at Kentucky, and she's probably going to lose all the ground she gained because of this. More trucks breaking down under yellow as pole setter Jacob Wesley blows up. As we talked about earlier about the issues Richard Scott had on the last restart, obviously must be a team issue with those Wesley family racing trucks, as Wesley is now going to have issues of his own. However, unlike Scott, these issues will put Wesley out of the race. We're under 10 laps to go now, which means it's a single file restart, which means Drew McDaniel is going to be restarting in front of some lead lap trucks. God help us all. But anyway, Gio Arias still leads, as Samantha Spires is now trying to get under Chuck Johnson for second. Mike Howard is restarting in fourth, as Jeremy Baker is a little further back. Now this could be big for Howard as far as the championship is concerned, as he's now going under Johnson for third. However, as predicted, Stacey St. Martin will not make it back to pit road and would stall on the backstretch as the rest of the field comes by her. That is a very dangerous spot right there, as the caution is out again. I mean, seriously, can we get more than one green flag lap, please? But anyway, being that it will be 5 to go once we get the caution, this will set up a one-lap shootout to the finish, as Gio Arias will once again lead them to the caution, as Mike Howard clearly shows that he has a much slower truck than his competition, and is going to be overtaken by Angel Gray and Taylor Brillin, who surprisingly still running. So yeah, good for her. The final engine failure of the day would belong to Angel Gray, who blows up from fourth. I mean, you seriously gotta feel bad for her, as she was the only regular that could keep up with the leaders. Matter of fact, after her early season bad luck, she has proven week in and week out that she's one of the fastest among the regulars, if not the fastest, but she just doesn't have the luck to back it up, and today is no different. And here we go. One lap shootout to the finish. Gio Arias will lead them to the green and the white at the same time. Samantha Spires is in second, Chuck Johnson third, Taylor Brillin fourth, Mike Howard in fifth. However, does Howard's truck have the speed to keep up with these guys and possibly get a top 5 run and make up some ground on Baker? As it looks like he's not doing so, but he's got to run under Brillin as the top 3 pull away as they exit turn 2, as it looks like Howard's actually holding up everybody behind them. As for Spires and Johnson, I think they're going to have to win. Oh, never mind, Johnson's going under Spires for second. He wants to go for the win for himself. This is exactly the thing Arias wants to see in his mirror, as this is going to allow him to break away, as those two are focusing battling with each other. But it looks like Johnson will get the position pretty easily. Casey Lester has gotten around Mike Howard for fourth, as he gets run into from the back by Pascal Valley as they enter the triover for the final time. Arias has a decent gap on Johnson. Johnson is there, but he doesn't have enough time to make the run, as Gio Arias will take his second win in 3 races as he takes the win here at Talladega. Indy 412-year-olds on the internet complain that Johnson didn't try. As I said before, this is Arias' second win in 3 races. He took the win at Buffalo, and now he takes the win here at Talladega, making him the first repeat winner of the season, leading 24 of the 38 laps, although most of those were under caution. Chuck Johnson will have to set up for second, which is his best finish on an oval. Actually, I think this is his best finish ever in the Truck Series. Not bad for someone who originally wasn't planning on showing up today. Samantha Spires finishes in third in her return to the series, showing everybody that she's still got it. Casey Lester finishes in fourth despite the shenanigans under caution earlier. That is his best finish. Mike Howard manages to hold up everybody to finish in fifth, which is his first top 5 of the season. Although, to be fair, the only reason he probably finished there was because we didn't get more than a lap of green flag racing in for the entire second half of the race. If that wasn't the case, he probably will not finish there. He probably would not even finish top 10. But still, he managed to hold everybody off for 1 lap to earn a top 5 finish. which makes him the highest running regular, which means that's more ground he cuts into Jeremy Baker's points lead. Pascal Valley finishes in 6th. That's 2 top 10s and 2 starts this season. And oh my god, Taylor Brillin finishes a race. Someone call a doomsday prep squad because I think the world is ending. This is the first time Taylor Brillin has seen the checkered flag this season, for trucks at least. Jeremy Baker manages to salvage an 8th place finish, meaning the damage he will sustain in the championship will not be as big as it could have been. Luke Pellerin finishes in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Philip Borland. However, similar to Howard, only reason he finished there was because we didn't get more than a lap of green in for the second half of the race. As a matter of fact, I think that applies more to Borland than it does to Howard. But anyway, here is the point standings now with 4 races left. Jeremy Baker's points lead has now been reduced to 36 points over Mike Howard. If this keeps up, we may have a battle on our hands. Richard Scott, who did not start at Kentucky, still in 3rd, 78 points behind Baker. Matter of fact, he's actually still within a 1 race distance of Baker. So that just shows you how part-timers have outclassed the regulars this season. And speaking of which, Gio Arias, who missed 2 races, is in 4th, 93 points behind Baker. I guess 2 wins will help you in that situation, even if you did miss 2 races. Stacey St. Martin pretty much lost all the ground she gained at Kentucky. She's now 98 points behind Baker. Angel Gray is in 6th, 119 points behind the leader. As we talked about the luck she's had this season, if it wasn't for that, she would be a championship contender along with Howard and Baker. But again, luck has just not been on her side this season. Jesus Ignacio Chavez III's free fall continues as he's now 124 points behind Baker. Same with Vincenzo Focasato as he's now 127 points behind. Philip Borland is now in 9th. Though you can't really say much for him, being that there's now only 9 drivers running for the championship. Matter of fact, the only 2 regulars that are not in the top 10 are the only 2 regulars remaining, that is, that are worse than him, which are Dale Clow and Patrick Johansson. And Chuck Johnson, with the 2nd place finish, moves back into the top 10 despite missing 2 races himself. Just to note that everybody from 6 on back is more than a full race out of the championship. Also take note that Scott and Arias are not running for the championship. So this could potentially be a 3-horse race, as we now got 4 races to go as the series now heads to the Boston Motor Speedway.